everybody, I'm Brian Julius. I'm the Chief Content Manager for Enterprise DNA, and we're here today to talk about the Enterprise DNA data challenges, and particularly the experience of being a newcomer in those challenges. And so with me, I've got a couple of Enterprise DNA members who recently jumped into the challenges, Federico Pastor and David Johnston, both of whom submitted tremendous entries in Data Challenge 14, and just wanted to have them introduce themselves, run through their entry, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the experience of participating in the challenge. So who wants to jump in and go first?
David, go first.
Okay.
Thank you, Federico. Very kind. David Johnston. I'm sort of a business intelligence specialist. I live in London, originally from Scotland. Been using Power BI for probably about 2.5 years now. So started using it in a previous role where I did a lot of Excel reporting and thought there must be a better way, and sort of discovered Power BI and sort of started teaching myself Power BI sort of badly at the start, and then found some great resources. Enterprise DNA is probably the strongest one that I sort of linked to, and then applied for a Power BI developer job, which I kind of didn't think I'd get because there's a lot more experienced people, but somehow they liked me. And then, you know, I've been with my current job for the last just over 2 years, and I've, you know, learned so much through Power BI and stuff the last couple of years, and a lot of that's down to Enterprise DNA. So
Great. Well, let's jump in and take a look at your entry.
Sure.
And this was for folks who haven't seen, this was the newcomer winner for Data Challenge 14. So a lot of great entries. I think we had about 4 dozen entries, and these two were some of the top ones we saw.
Well, I think I've been threatening to do a entry for some time, and I never started soon enough. I'd always start too late. And this one, when I seen the data, was great because I used to work for an ambulance, London ambulance service. So I was kind of right. This one's I need to do this one. So I started off with basically just the call handling. There's a few things I wanted to do, such as there's a few things I thought, right, I've never used before, which I wanted to do. So for example, I wanted to put a toggle in, and I also wanted to use these quite cool line graphs that Mudasir had used in his challenge 10. And I also really loved his sort of color scheme. So those were my bases for starting. So I thought, right, these are really great graphs for getting quite a lot of data in, but also having your data labels being able to extend underneath. So I kind of thought, right, this is how I start off with. And then as I built the screen, I thought, right, work from left to right. So then almost start with your big number, which is obviously your number of calls, and then the other sort of key KPI is average handling time. So the average time it takes for calls to use. So I started off with those, and just built it from there. Tried to keep a nice simple grid format. So try and keep it moving from left to right, and then. One of the other things from Moody's here talked about in some of his other challenges and videos is that he likes to try and minimize the amount of filters. So I sort of set myself the task of putting no on-page filters and just allowing all the visuals, more or less, apart obviously the KPIs, to be able to slice and dice the rest of the data. Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to look at the number of calls that were received from male patients, everything else would slice. You've also been able to break down, by the number of calls by call handler. You can also see the type of protocol, number of calls, etc. So I just really wanted to try and be able to use everything without having a sort of drop on-page filters or a filter that's activated by a button, etc. So that was the sort of thing I wanted to do. And then
makes really nice use of space, that you're not chewing up space with a lot of slicers, that you're really making the maximum use of the page.
Yeah, because they can be quite, real estate heavy and stuff. And then also I think from what I've because obviously I've looked at lots of these challenges, but I've never actually taken part. So I've seen lots of entries, and I think one of the things I tried to do is make sure that there is space between the visuals, because I think sometimes it's quite easy to try and cram too much in.
Mhm.
And so I always think, trying to use space and keep that spacing consistent between your visuals and keeping everything down sort of aligned on the left-hand side, and then trying to keep the far edge of this more or less in line with the slice, etc. So that's sort of some of the things I try and keep in mind. And then obviously the toggle, which allows me to change my visuals. So it's set to call view at the moment, and then if I press it again, it changes all these by average handling time. So it allowed me to get more information onto the screen, etc. So that
And
was
you just handled that through bookmarks?
Yeah. So I wasn't sure how to do it at first. So I think there's a great video by Reed Havens who puts a lot of great stuff up, and it's a button, and then you can just format it with I think it's actually it's an emoji, the circle, so you activate it that way, and then you set it to default as the background, and then when you hover it moves to the center, and then when you press it, that activates the bookmark, and then that button disappears and this other one appears, which does the opposite.
Great. Well, thanks so much. And maybe what we'll do now is just jump in and take a look at Federico's.
No problem.
The inspiration came from a proper report that I found on the internet. The inspiration, I want to say that the color scheme or the color palette came from that idea. The idea was to create somehow an application, something that you as a worker can log in, you see your CEO, you have some information about the report, you got Edna, the boot chat in here, the book chat in here. And then it was my first report with Edna, Enterprise DNA. In my view, and I know very old working with Power BI, I started with COVID-19, basically. We were in lockdown, I didn't have nothing to do. And I took on data analysis and business intelligence. Not that I haven't done data analysis before. I used to work for an airline, the security department. My role was to track down fraudulent document holders. Okay, people traveling with false document, impersonation, false visas, human traffickers, and so on.
Is that pretty common, actually?
Yes.
Wow.
More than everybody knows. That is a well-kept secret, not secret anymore, well-kept secret by the airline industry and the government. But yes, we're talking about thousands a year.
Wow.
One airline. So I started analyzing data, profiling these people. Where they coming from? When do they book? What ranges? Things like that. But it was not professionally done. It was not in a professional way. If I got the data now, I would do wonderful stuff because I have a better understanding. And so that is my background about doing some data analysis, if we can call it that way. And COVID-19 came and I started studying. Nothing to do. I just went to Demi, got a couple of courses in Excel. Then I found the way Power BI. The people that actually, or the organization I was from the beginning was Maven Analytics. I did very well, but in September last year, I joined it. But you were in a different category. You are now in the Premiership. Enterprise DNA is the championship, the top of the pop. That's the reason I didn't feel comfortable putting any report out there. You see Alex Badiou, all the other big guys putting report out there. I said, whoa. But on this occasion, I said, no, Federico, you have to jump in. You have been doing this now for a year and a half. You can put some kind of good-looking report and see what happened. Because it's your first entry, you're a new entrant, nobody's going to kill you wherever you do.
Far from it.
I wasn't expecting David to pop in too and do this excellent job he did. Again, I play with some buttons. You can see that there is that is very simple. That is the default view. And when I hover over, it just an increase. It changed from Segoe semi-bold to Segoe bold. So it's just basically from one lighter font to a heavier font. That is the interaction there. So
yeah, it's a nice little bounce there.
It's just a change of font from semi-bold to bold. And I say, okay, we need to give some color. So semi overview is going to be green, staff performance will be orange, and station and hospital yellow. It's the same color that this professional report that I found the internet had. The idea of the donut chart comes from a report from, I forgot his name, your boss, Brian.
Oh, Sam McKay?
Sam, sorry, apologies for that, yes. And he have one report, I think, about where they have the three donut chart line up and the information coming to the right.
The regional analysis.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
So that the idea comes from there. I said, okay, where do I put that? I can put a vertical or horizontal. And I went for the vertical. The target are hard-coded numbers. I did an average. And I said, okay, the average is 17, let's put it 20. So we're looking like we are doing okay on target. Okay, then we analyze the data by minute, how many minutes per day. We had the big numbers, big metric banks, and I like when we are talking about banks, the big ass numbers, I like to make them big. I want they are supposed to be big. That's the name, and I bolded. I never done it before, and that another trick that I pick up from some of your reporting, Enterprise DNA, just the line moving from one place to another. A couple of simple filters in there. Now that I'm more aware of, if I have month in here and I filter by February, everything disappears apart from the month of February. And I don't like that. It's just one column. Mm-hmm. So I try not to be very aware of what kind of filters I am using, because if I say I don't like that,
right?
Because it's only one. So I try to complement when I can the filters I use, so situations like that don't happen. This one I really like it. That is hours per day. And I had to actually get into a big, I can see where, that one I pick it up from Radacat. You know Radacat? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is a time, like a calendar day with time. And I was able to create that little timeline chart in here. Then I decided to go for the 3 stages. One is the call to the operators, the operator dispatching the ambulance arriving to the passenger, and then to the hospital. So that is the 3 stages. And everything is based about averages, how long from here to there. And I think everybody took the same approach on averages.
You know, one of the things I really liked about this was it's very clear in your report what's important. And you talked about kind of the big numbers. And it's, when you look at this, you can tell kind of the targets and you can tell immediately kind of what are the key metrics. And I really like that. I like as a report consumer not having to hunt and figure out what the key points are. And in this one, it's very, very clear right off the top. Thank you guys both for going through your entries. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about your experience. And you both had been members for a while, and both decided this was the challenge you were going to jump into. And what was it that prompted you specifically? And David, you talked about kind of the knowledge of emergency services and ambulance response that kind of got you jumping in on this one.
Sorry if
okay.
I may. Well, I think because I suppose I've been quite active on the forum for a while now, and whenever there's a challenge, I keep making the mistake of saying, "Yeah, I'll do this one," and then I didn't start it soon enough, and then I realized actually, I think for your first submission, you probably need to, start as early as possible so you get yourself organized. And I think since I'd said to myself on at least 3 or 4 challenges, I'm going to enter this one, and haven't. When it came up as emergency services data, which I felt quite comfortable with, I thought, right, this is the one that I'm definitely going to do. And then I think from looking at the previous challenges, I've got a folder in my computer, my OneDrive, that has got pretty much, a lot of the challenges from previous entrants. And then what I've been doing is picking apart their reports and models to work out how they did certain things, or just looking at viewing reports to just take visual styling and stuff tips away. So then I kind of felt comfortable enough with this one to actually, to build a report and put an entry in, because I'd sort of spent enough time thinking about what I'd like it to look like, or some of the visual elements I'd have, that I felt confident, and that I wasn't going to embarrass myself. So I think if I'd entered sooner, I think I certainly wouldn't have done as good a job as, not trying to sound big-headed, but if I'd entered about 3 or 4 challenges ago, I wouldn't have got to the level I was comfortable with this entry. So I think, I think it was a good way of, it was a good time. So things aligned, and I managed to get my entry in. So
great.
So
very cool. How about you? Like, what was it? You mentioned you'd been participating in some other challenges, and you've been thinking about doing it. What was it that got you to jump in on this one?
It's time to play with the big boys. That was nice. I keep in contact with Antrich on LinkedIn, and I can see the report coming in because I'm a member, so sometimes I just get in and check for things. And you were the big boys. Now I am also in a position where I need to improve my DAX. And I think Edna for that is a lot better than other organizations. It's a bit deeper, they go deeper on DAX. And how, so what best to coming in, throw a report that is good looking, and start knowing the people behind in Enterprise DNA and the members. So you are now part of the community. They know you a bit more. But mainly was to play let's mess up with the big boys now and see what happens.
Nice.
It has been a very excellent experience. So I'm quite happy that we are talking today. And probably this report has been one of my best, because it's a full report. Sometimes the other challenges we do is one visualization. You have a print screen. That doesn't allow you to show the little tricks and the toggle button that David did, the bookmark, or the tooltips. You can display this when you present a full report. Without
page navigation and
without overpowering the report. You don't need to put too many things in it. You need to put what is important, and then you show some of your skill, the bookmark. I like this one that you overpose a chart over another one, and with a click and a bookmark, you show one view or the other view. That's quite simple to do. So sometimes in report, I prepare a bar chart. Beyond this one, you have a table, one matrix that shows the same. And then with the click of a button, I like this little trick. And you can show this, entering challenges we do. Probably you and Power BI Elite, I think they also are full report. Everybody else is just print screen. You cannot show anything there. But yes, mainly was to play with the big boys.
Well, thank you guys. This was great. I really enjoyed hearing your perspective. I'm glad to hear the challenge was such a good experience for you both. And it was a good experience for us in terms of, getting exposed to your skills and your reports. And so, I think that's something's lost in the discussion, which is we talk about, people being hesitant to participate, but oftentimes by not participating, you're not giving the community the benefit of your knowledge and experience. And so by jumping in, I really feel like I benefited a lot from both of your reports. And there are things that I took notes on saying, hey, here's something I'm going to, take for another challenge or use this approach, or I like this particular color scheme. And so, each of you had things that I made notes of in my running notes. So I really appreciate your participation and particularly your willingness to share today. So thank you guys both, and look forward to seeing you in the next challenge, which is dropping tomorrow, I think.
Okay, fantastic.
No problem. Thank you for the kind words, Brian. Oh, another challenge. Here we go.
Ready. Thank you, Brian, for the invitation. If somebody's going to listen to this, don't be afraid. Just go for it. It doesn't matter. You are learning, so go for it.
Go for it. I think it's a great mantra on this. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you soon.
No problem.
Bye.
Thanks,
See you later. Bye, David.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Enterprise DNA TV. If you enjoyed the content covered in this particular tutorial, please throw the video a like. It really helps us and we really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Enterprise DNA TV channel. We have a huge amount of content coming out all the time from myself and a range of content creators, all dedicated to improving the way that you use Power BI and the Power Platform. Lastly, check out Enterprise DNA's website. Plenty of resources and further learning that you can access very easily. All the best. Take care.